I was having some trouble with my Icom IC-725 ham radio not turning on. So I opened it up, took it apart, looked inside, put it all back together, and apparently that fixed it. So it might have been some type of an issue with the power plug. I don't know what the actual issue was, but hopefully this video will help you see how to disassemble and then reassemble this guy if you ever need to do that. Because Japanese engineers are awesome, the only tool you'll really need to do this is a Phillips screwdriver. I have a small pointy one. Some of the screws were in there a little tighter, so I got kind of a bigger one that got me a little more torque on them. But really just a Phillips, I think it's just a number 2 screwdriver, is all you need for most of the screws. So there's a whole bunch of these little black screws all around the outside of the case, on the sides and the bottom. That's one type of screw. There's 4 of these silver-headed pan-head screws on the back. That's another type of screw. And then inside, if you want to take the cover off the PA unit, there's a whole bunch of little kind of golden covered screws, and that's the 3rd type of screw. Now, I haven't taken the circuit boards out or anything like that, but to get access to everything, there's only those 3 types of screws. Now, most of the user serviceable components in this Icom 725 are on the bottom here. So once you've removed this bottom cover from this guy, you have access to a whole bunch of the tuning pots down here. There's a place here where you could add the CW, I think it's the narrow filter, and there's a place here for the FM unit and tone unit that plugs into various things here. So my unit does not have any of those add-ons. So even though the front panel has an FM AM button, without that FM tone unit in there, it won't work. And even though it has narrow CW, without that narrow CW filter in there, it won't work. All right, so the thing about the bottom cover is that it has these 2 slots that go into these screws from the top cover. So you have to take these screws out to get the bottom cover off, and you have to take them out to put it back on. So if you have both covers off, these screws here go through both the bottom and top cover, so you don't want to put those in until you have the bottom cover in place. Because the bottom cover has 4 screws on the bottom, and then it has 4 more, 2 on each of these sides. So this guy here, the kind of stick it up at an angle foot, goes to the front. And then this guy just slides in here, and the edges there go under the top case. And so those screws on the sides there go through both of those cases. All right, taking these screws out here, the back screws there, and at this point there's nothing to it, but I am going to have to separate all these cables and make careful notes of where they plug in again so I can put them back where they need to be. All right, so this small bundle of wires with orange, blue, red, brown, and black, green goes to this connector here that goes to that, I think it's a J6 right there. The purple is closest to this little metal thing here, and there looks to be a big enough opening here that I can pull that through that little square opening. Right, the big bundle of wires, which I suspect might be the power wires, because they're going to the power switch up there and they're coming from this box that has the power coming into it. They're nice because they have a little pull connector here. Now down inside there's a small bundle of wire that comes from near where the fan is, goes to the top side of this board, to that connector there. And the red one is kind of over towards these chips. And the connector that came off of is labeled J7. This little guy that's attached to the back of that, but plugged into this other board, it looks like the metal piece might just slide out down. Yes. Alright, so that metal piece just disconnects there. And now we just have those gray wires over on the other side, which come into various places here. Alright, so there's 3 thick wires. 2 of them come from the unit I'm trying to disassemble and take apart and move away, and 1 of them comes from the bottom of the board. So of these 3 thick wires, I need to disconnect 2 of them. There's also a thin wire. I believe it's this J11 on the right, and J12 on the left. And somebody has already labeled these wires. I don't know if that's factory or somebody's already been in here. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's been in here because it came with the service manual. There's all kind of markings inside of the various manuals. Those two guys just pulled right out of there. Never seen these type of connectors before. I haven't been working radios much before, so my assumption is they're RF. But J12, which is labeled 12, J11, which is labeled 11. There's this thin wire that comes into the speaker. So that is the speaker wire there, and it plugs in just above these two black square boxes. It has a 1.5 on it, I think, 15. So that guy just pulled right out. I don't see anything on the board that's directly labeling that guy. It has a 15 here, so there might be a J15 I'm just not seeing. The black wire was to the right-hand side away from the edge of the case. Alright, so if there's big power capacitors waiting to shock me, they're probably inside this metal case. See, that's a nice engineering design thing. There's a little notch here, just so you can put your screwdriver in there and get that screw out. You know, somebody was thinking about this when they designed that piece of metal. Now there's this one screw here that looks like it's a grounding connection to a wire that comes out there, so I'm going to try to unscrew that without messing up these wires. As far as I can tell, that screw's exactly the same as all the other screws in here. It just happened to go through a little copper ring to hook to a wire for grounding purposes. Of course, we have to get this guy and this guy out to get this metal plate off. And those two screws look different from all the others that were on the inside. If you've ever wondered what a grounding connection is connected to, it's just connected directly to the chassis. Alright, so I suspect a lot of that is power. There is a fuse in there, and it doesn't look blown, which is unfortunate because I was hoping I could just replace a fuse. I'll test it with a multimeter to make sure. I don't see any obvious problems with capacitors being blown up or leaking anything. I don't see any obvious burn marks, which is unfortunate. I was hoping there'd be something easy to fix. Now over on this side, there's this cool looking, I don't know, neon tube, whatever. Maybe that's a transmit receive relay, I don't know. These might be band selection relays. There's probably some power electronics on the other side, but I don't know. I haven't looked at the schematics. I have them available, they're in the manual, but I haven't bothered looking at stuff yet. I was hoping I could just visually find an obvious problem. Looks like somebody's been naughty because diode D5 has been cut on this guy. So that means it can broadcast on the military bands. You have to be careful not to tune to the military bands and to press the transmit button. Alright, I have this guy all plugged together in such a way that I can watch the power stage here and see if there's any components heating up where they shouldn't be. Alright, I made damn sure this transmit switch is not in the ARN position. Really should have a 50 ohm load on that thing, but I don't have one. So we're going to plug this in, and first of all watch the battery voltage and make sure it doesn't like just immediately sag. Alright, battery's at 12.8 whatever. Hit the power. Oh great. Turned on, everything's working. Just great. Don't know if I made any changes whatsoever. There's no excess heat in the power stage. They're putting the thing back together and hoping it works when I get it put back together. So according to the service manual, the circuitry in here is the fan motor. You know, the motor's plugged in right there. There's a temperature sensor on this device here. Alright, so assembly is the opposite of disassembly. This cover goes down here, these two wires come out of there, the speaker wire's just hanging. This guy here has to have that little screw tied in there. I have these two wires coming out of that spot there. And the fan motor wires hopefully out of the way of everything. Alright, so this screw and that screw on the back have the kind of outside style screws, whereas all of these other screws have the inside style screws. Alright, so in this metallic shield, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 screws, and then there's 13 here and 14 there. Alright, so this wire here goes to jumper 7. The wire here goes to the switch and to jumper 6. And hopefully you labeled these before you took them off, because there's 12 and 11. So putting all this stuff back together. This little metallic thing slides into there. These two guys and the speaker wire have to go through that hole. This guy here, that's jumper 7, goes right up to here, the jumper 7. This hooks up to that switch wire, and this jumper 6 has to go around to the back to this jumper 6 right here. And I believe it goes through that hole. Everything's put back together. All I need to do is put the upper and lower cases on with all of the outside case screws, which are the little black ones. Little tiny mini pan head kind of. Before I do that though, I want to plug it into the battery again and see if it's still working. Alright, so transmit is definitely off. Power on, power's up. So as far as I could tell, I did nothing to fix this radio other than take it apart, look at it hard, and put it back together. But I'll take it. Alright, so the top cover has the speaker foam or felt that covers that, a little bit of air holes here. There's a fan inside here that blows air across this, and that air can come out these slots here. And that guy basically just sets down, and then you're going to screw in a lot of screws. So you've got 4 around the speaker, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. There's some upper screws that are for mounting the entire radio. I don't have those. I think they're metric 8 or something. But those might also go in there if you had those screws. So after you get that metal slotted in there, you also want to make sure this is pushed forward till it kind of goes under a little bit there, and these guys have to line up with the holes. If you ever wanted to know how to hook a Digirig cable set up to an Icom 725 radio, it's pretty simple. There's the jack that goes into the remote plug right there, and there's 2 accessory ports on the back, and you want the one on the far right side as you're looking at the back of the radio. It's, I believe it's accessory port number 1, and so this guy plugs into there. There's a little notch on that. That notch matches up with the bottom little square thing there. And now you're ready for digital modes with your Icom IC-725.